Welcome to Coach SG and Friends, where we discuss topics that help you have a better relationship with yourself and others. I am Coach SG, otherwise known as your joyful friend. I'm a relationship coach and life mentor, an entrepreneur and speaker. I'm based out of Los Angeles, but originally from Brooklyn, New York. I love great music, deep conversations, and inspiring people to live their best emotional lives and create their most amazing love story. Let me introduce you to my two friends, Janessa Rose and Lisa Miranda. Janessa is the CEO of Motivational Monsters, a nonprofit that helps people activate mental health and emotional well-being through creative arts. She is the author of How to Stop Being an Effing Bum. BUM stands for Broken Urban Mentality. She's been dubbed the Tony Robbins / Cardi B of motivational speakers, and she calls herself the Galactic Goddess. Lisa Miranda is an actor and creative director. She's also dabbling in producing. She is based in Miami, New York, and Paris. She is a world traveler who speaks several languages, who loves life, good people, and good conversation. So we want to welcome you to our podcast. Let's get started. Ladies, welcome back. 2022. And Lisa is back with us this time. So three of us all back together. So today's episode, we're going to talk about what do you wish you knew about relationships when you were younger? Who wants to start?
Age doesn't equal maturity.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That relationships don't last forever.
I would say how to handle my triggers.
That you're not responsible for anyone else's emotions.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But I think we should expound on some of these.
We will, but let's just go fast first.
All right. How to communicate my needs effectively.
A breakup can be very traumatic, so take it easy.
That they're all experiences meant to teach us something about ourselves. I wish I knew that earlier.
Yes. I would say how to handle disagreements.
Regrouping before starting a new relationship after a breakup.
How about I wish I knew how to spot trauma bonding.
I like that. I wish I knew what to do when I said, "Hey, this hurts my feelings," and they don't listen to me. What do I need to do after that?
I wish I knew that you don't have to be in love or enemies with your exes, that there's a lot of in-between areas.
I still got some frenemies out there. Now let me stop. I wish that I knew I wish that I understood that being rough and angry was not a healthy way to express myself to a loved one when I was younger.
Mine is how to be emotionally independent.
Not allowing toxic, what's the word? Behavior. Not allowing toxic behavior just because we both saw it growing up.
Okay.
What else? Oh, I wish I knew that relationships weren't just about physical connection. I wish that I understood at a younger age that it was way more about emotional and spiritual connection too.
I wish I knew I could create the relationship that I wanted and not what society said I had to have.
I wish I knew when someone has hurtful language that it's more about them than me.
I wish I knew, and when I was ranting down a list of the cons, that it meant that I was discerning rather than just right. You know?
That I'm not responsible for their happiness or their sadness.
That the most important relationship in my life is between me and me.
That is a good one too.
How to collaborate instead of compromise and sacrifice.
Or compete.
Or compete. I like that. I like compete too.
whole thing. That should be a whole topic for an episode. How to rather than compete.
Setting the tone in the beginning of the relationship of how I want to be treated, and not, a year in.
Oh, setting healthy boundaries early. That's a good one too. Well, I wish I would have known that like I said, all relationships were like the lessons, but that, I didn't hold resentment too. Like resentment was a thing, when I was young. I ain't talking to them no more,
Right.
Something that I didn't agree with,
Right. Let me see. I'm running out now. To not have disagreements in a low vibration.
To take stock of the relationship at least once.
Once a year.
I wish that I would have known not to try to save anybody. I wanted to try to heal. Like I would meet guys that would be like, oh, he's going through so much. Since I'm not going through that, I can help them through that. Oh, I wish I would have known that was not
Love that. That my needs are constantly changing, and so are theirs. So it's really important that we're having conversations about needs and not about right and wrong.
I wish I knew about what finances should look like in a relationship, financial responsibilities, handling them, blah, 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 all of that.
Love that.
I wish I would have known about the power of exchange and the characteristics, what they look like between the masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine, divine feminine. That was a big thing. I wish I knew that early.
All right. I don't know. I think how to make myself happy. But at some point we got to stop and start talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Let's do our last one. My last one was like, understanding that a relationship tells me where I am vibrationally.
Okay. My end.
So now that we know what we wish we had known, how are you practicing it in your relationships now?
Well, let me start by saying I done got my heart dragged out of here. I had to go through a lot of pain, and I had to go through all those things. So now I apply all of those things. Shit, I probably shouldn't even be doing
It cut you off a little bit.
Listen, Janessa, whatever you could have said, my behavior this weekend, I would have been kicked off this podcast. We all.
Oh wait, we need to know about that.
No, just unregulated. But I think it's something really powerful. And instead of like beating myself up for when I act crazy, I actually started looking at, okay, how has my behavior changed? Like, how have I become more regulated than before? If this same situation happened a year or 2 or 3 before, how would I have handled it? Like, have I seen any improvement? Have I seen any more self-awareness or growth? And obviously the answer is going to be yes, at least in one area. So,
I don't know. I think, my biggest thing before was being able to navigate obstacles, I think. And so when you're having a disagreement, where I grew up, there wasn't kind discussions, we were just setting it off all the time and hitting each other, below the belt. I used to say really crappy things to people that I was with because I was hurt and I was angry. And so I've learned now, to control myself and to know that, most people they really are not trying to do anything to me, that they're probably just activating my triggers, and when my triggers are activated, it's my responsibility to like step back and take care of that. That wasn't something that anybody in my household was talking about, so I wasn't really sure how to do that, and there were no books that I was reading that said this is how you do that. So
and it wasn't, and when your environment influences you, that's just the way you handle things. I definitely was that type too. I come from the same place you come from, kind of. So that, I guess that was our culture.
Not kind of. We were like 2 streets apart. No, I'm just kidding.
And I still have to go through that daily. Like I got to remind myself. And I still have the mindset very much embedded in me. Like if you tell them your perception of this, you'll light them up because your shit is all facts. And although I'm right, and I know it could like shut down the other person. It's like I don't need to do that. I have to let go of me needing to do that to feel better, or me having to convince them that I'm right. I don't need to do that. You hurts in weird places, you know.
I think I got from, just over time that fighting over right and wrong just is wasted energy because, I might feel like I'm right based on my beliefs and they think that they're right based on their beliefs. So we're not going to change each other. The important part is like, well, how do we get to the solution? How do we collaborate? Because, we had lives before we met each other. So there are going to be things that connect on and figure out like, how do we still connect when we disagree? That's the hardest part. It's hard in politics. It's hard in any relationship. How do you still connect when you disagree?
Yeah. That reminds me, I feel like in relationships, something that I like that I do is that I tailor myself to the relationship. But that's something that I also have to be careful with because I could start losing some of my own interests, some of my individuality. And then there's the resentment. There's, maybe there's not clarity in the communication because I don't know exactly what I'm feeling, but it's not right. So I learned to really take the time to understand how I feel before I go and talk to my partner, because I realize if I'm still a little hot, this conversation's not going to go anywhere. It's
Right.
just not going to be fruitful. So just letting things breathe, giving things the space so that I can know what I'm talking about before I go and expect someone else to. Because not having the practice of really looking deeply, of having rituals, of being connected with myself so that I'm not, giving a little more than I should if I'm in a relationship. But if, for me, when I didn't know how to do those things and, you just roll with the punches, finding someone who is nice and, is caring, it's just like, all right, well, I can give a little more at the expense of me because what was me anyway? So that lack of clarity, I think, is like the birth of a lot of problems.
But it's also the catalyst to a lot of healing because it's through that experience that you start to realize I need to learn me more because I'm out here just giving blocks of self to build other people's foundations. And then when
I didn't know that, Janessa. Sherelle has actually told me that. I had a lot of relationships, like dozens, and I didn't figure that one out.
No, but I think we gel to our environment. And so when we're in a relationship, and whether it's like our family, our culture, our relationships, like we want to find agreement with others. So and it feels good when we agree with others. When we are not aligned, it feels like we're off. And the agreement we have to find is with our own selves, not with the other person, but we have to connect. But we don't have to become like these two. I don't know. We still have to be individual. And I think that's the hard part.
What's something else really big that I learned? I think I put way too, like if I had an idea or something that I really wanted, I put too much weight on the person that I'm with's opinion of whether or not I could do that or be that or have that. And I don't even think it would be because of their limiting beliefs about me, but just their own fears and insecurities. So they could be like, oh, I have this great idea and this other person doesn't see that, or it's like, whoa, and I think what I did was at some point I just started to like push those kind of desires down, like feeling like there's like a realm of what you can share and is reasonable goals, but outside of that you might not get the support. So I started, I guess, dimming my own light. I guess that's what we'd call that. So I think it's so important to be aware of that because it can like I wasn't aware that I was doing it until much, much, much later.
Yeah. And I think it comes from like just not being able to discern like, kind of feedback. Because there's sometimes when our partner gives us feedback and it has value, but it's still not right for you. So then it feels like you're not taking on, their opinions or whatever. And it really isn't. It may not be for where you are in your journey it's just not for you. So, but we want so badly to get their approval and their agreement that, it doesn't feel good when they don't agree with us. So.
When I used to teach at one of the juvenile detention centers, one of the main things I was teaching the boys was everybody has their own perception. 'Cause all they did was fight each other all day, right? So they would argue over why you didn't see something the way they seen something. And they were younger, so they didn't really understand the unique perception idea, the concept of he's got his own perception, I got mine. And so what I would do is I would have them, I'd give them all one white piece of paper and a pack of 4 basic color markers. And I'd say, draw me a rose or something, right? And everybody had in their mind a rose. And then I collect all their papers and show them how everybody's rose was different. Nonetheless, they were all roses. You see?
Did someone draw you, Janessa Rose?
No.
I was gonna say too. I was like, it would be a rose, wouldn't it?
That because there was a whole bunch of teenage boys. So I would tell them, like, come on, because y'all know my name is Janessa Rose. Draw me a rose, draw me a rose. But there were so many different ones. The point of the matter was one drew like a sacred geometry rose, one drew one that looked like a tulip, but in his mind, that was a rose, and so on and so forth. The idea is this. Everybody has their own perception. I was trying to teach them what perception means. And this is what happens in relationships. We get so caught up and you need to feel what I'm feeling. I am responsible to convince you of what I'm saying in order for me to feel better. You cannot give somebody that kind of power and that weight on them as well, because it's so conflicting when everything inside of you is already tied to them because you're sleeping with them. They're your partner. You guys have bonding. You already activated bonding chemicals and stuff. You guys are like a thing. So naturally, you have this chemistry. And when you start to fight over perception, which is like Sherelle said before, is true to you. My perception is real to me for my own reasons. I may not know how to articulate that to you. That doesn't mean I do not love you. What it really means is I need to consider this. I need to prioritize this. This is important to me. Most people in relationships, especially ones that are based off of trauma and things like that, we're not even healed enough to be connecting with people. We're still in the early learning stages. So all the blame and stuff like that really is just a misunderstanding of the uniqueness within one another. You don't know how to, you're not responsible. You don't know how to articulate it in the sense of, no, that's great. You see it like that. Wow, I wish I would have known what it looked like, but to me, it looks like this. We don't even know how to do that. It's an immediate, like, you don't see it, you don't agree with me, you don't love me, you hurt me, you hate me. People go.
I think it brings up triggers, right? So if you don't believe in what I believe in, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to disconnect? Does that mean that, so I think it just brings up fear. And I, like we were saying before, I think that being in right and wrong, it's not productive because we are going to see things slightly different, vastly different. They're just going to be different because we're two different people. So if we are different, how do we find alignment? How do we find a solution? And I think that's the hardest part how do you find those words? How do you speak to each other when you disagree? But you have to find a solution because it's hard to find a solution when you disagree. So, what's the next steps?
So you guys listening, I don't know, it's an old book, but it's a really good book. It's called The 5 Love Languages. Anybody know of it?
I do.
All right, so this book is great because it talks about how everybody has their own love language. And most of the time, people are trying to understand one another, but they don't understand each other's languages. And it's just like if you speak Spanish and I speak Chinese and we don't speak no other language. The point of the matter is this book is great. And it's about it's about you speaking one language and I speak one. There's 5 of them. So one of them is acts of service. You could be like, yo, I like to do things for you. I like to cook for you. I like to give you tea. I like to rub your feet. That's the way I tell you I love you. And your man could be like, yeah, but I want you to touch me in another way. You know what I'm
saying? Like, Jesus.
Here, bro. Listen, but your partner could be like, mine is touch or sentimental words, words of affirmation. telling you I love you, I love you, I love you. And some people are like, yo, shut up. Like, there's some people that be like, all right, I love you. I'm gonna say it like 20 times. But everybody has their own language.
You know your love language?
You know my love language. I like all of them.
Mine is words of affirmation.
Well, is it to receive or to give? Mine is
Both.
time, I guess. Time.
That is what is that? What there is a quality time language, right?
Yeah, quality time.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that is great, and I do know my I took the test. I know my my love language, but I think that's one part of it. But the other part of it is the alignment part, because if you get with somebody who like gifts, is their love language, and you don't like giving gifts, it's going to be problematic. So, yeah, you want to tune into how they want to be loved, but I think you got to do that work in the beginning. You got to kind of figure out, like, can I offer value to this situation?
Forward this way.
Right? But I think, and this is why it's like alignment. It's better to link up with somebody who has a similar love language as you, so that you're exchanging the same. So if like Lisa got with somebody who time, it's important to them too, it's easy. But if if it's acts of service, and for her it's time, and it might be a mess if they can't figure that out. So, but what'd you say your number one was, Janessa?
For me?
Yeah. What, unless there's another Janessa here, I don't know.
Yo, I'm single. No, I was gonna say, I think my love language is I have all of them. I like all of them. Like
you have to have one primary one.
I think it would be acts of service. Like for me, I like when I do things for others. Like I like to serve. I love to serve my guy, but I also love to buy gifts for the guy. And I like those things for me too. I'm not big on the words of affirmation. I'm not. Like if your way is just like all day, like I love you, you're beautiful. After a while, I'll be like, oh, shut the fuck up.
No, but those aren't just words of affirmation. Like my most used word of affirmation is I'm very proud of you. Like it'd be something little, exercise, took a risk, things like, wow, I'm really rooting for you. So it's not just, hey, beautiful, because I actually can't stand that either.
Well, I love that you said that. I think meeting that, I feel recognized, right? So if I like, because it's usually born from some trauma, some whatever, right? So I felt like growing up, kids were made to be seen and not heard. My feelings didn't matter, and nobody was giving a fuck, and I don't mean to say that, but so it's important that I feel affirmed. So if I'm in a relationship and I take out the trash or whatever, thank you, honey. Thank you. I saw that you took out the trash. Thank you so much. I think it's more like that than it's like, because gifts, they're nice, but I don't have to have gifts.
I am starting to realize, and this is sad, but I'm starting to realize that I'm really weird with relationships. Like more than ever. Like I'm weird with relationships. I think I'm traumatized. I think I'm really afraid. I don't know if we're putting this in the episode. I just had to.
Yeah, we need to talk. I think this is good. We need to talk about this.
Oh, I think I'm afraid of being hurt. I think I really am. As much as I'm like, I know so much and I think I know, I'm afraid. Like, I'm just like, oh, like when I think of being intimate with people anymore, like I just like, like I get so like I'm having this issue where I can feel it physically in my body, be like, don't you dare trust no one.
Yeah, no, I get it. And so what it is, is that you're feeling vulnerable right now. And I think that it's important that you probably pull back a little bit. But it's just having that, I don't want to call it a lack mindset. It's that fear of something going wrong. So if you connect with somebody, it's going to go wrong. And so you just, as time goes on and you connect with somebody and it goes right, then you'll see it as going right. But how many relationships have you had that you felt like have gone right?
None of them, obviously. I'm single.
No, because I see it, okay, so I think a little bit differently because I've had several relationships, but I used to look at them as failures, but you had just mentioned that one of the things is I wish I knew that it was teaching me something. So all those relationships prepared me for Dawn now. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, they didn't not have value, they had value, but they only have value if I extract a lesson from them. If I look back on them and I go, this one did this to me and this one did this to me, but I don't take a lesson from it, then I haven't grown at all.
That's true, and I agree. And I have learned from all my relationships, thank God. But I have learned, but it still doesn't feel like. And now I've learned, but the thing that I feel like I'm learning from all those things are like, you best off by yourself, boo boo.
What?
You're best by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess I'm just at that space now where I just feel like I don't want to connect off of the need of being lonely. Oh, I'm alone, I'm bored. Maybe I should have me a little sneaking link. Maybe I should this. No, I don't want to do none of those things any longer. I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's just I lately I'm having weirder and more like jaded perceptions of relationships. And I'm afraid. And I've never been like this. I've never really been afraid of love and to love or to be loving, no matter who hurt me. I was always in the mindset of you'll regret it. The next one will be hot. He'll be hot. We'll be chilling. He'll be, excited about me. I was always in that mindset. Now I'm like, I'm scared. Like, I don't want to deal with nobody. Like, it's just people are the way they are. And like, how could you, I'm in a weird
I was going to answer, but I'm giving Lisa time to say whatever she needs to say, and then I'll jump in.
Oh, I was just listening to this. I was just going to say something about the last thing Sherelle said about relationships, how she said her relationships helped her be better ready for her relationship with Don. I feel like a lot of my relationships helped me be better for me. Like it helped me like raise the bar and what I wanted and what I expected. Like the encouragement I might have gotten from, someone who might be like a piece of shit, right? But one time they said something and I was just like, I'm going to do that. And I get to live with that satisfaction that I rose myself up to the occasion and I feel better about who I am, even if they had just came in my life for that moment or for whatever they brought in, you know what I'm saying? Like when I look back.
Yeah, I can get that. And I've definitely been in that space too. I guess, especially with raising the bar, I've definitely raised the bar. Like my bar is complete. My bar used to be here. That shit is all the way up here. And then I think to myself now, like, did you set that level of a bar so you're safe because no one can fucking reach it?
But I didn't mean raise the bar in terms of what you want in a relationship. I mean, raise the bar in terms of how you want to live, the comforts that you want to experience, the things that you want to do.
Really the same thing because your relationships are part of how you're living. So that's all encompasses that. So it's I changed the way I'm living. That changed the bar because the things that I don't no longer live by, you know what I mean? Like if you wear fitted hat, baggy pants, you like, yo, ma, not talking to you no more. Up here now. I'm like, go get put on a 3-piece suit so you can come with me to a meeting. You know what I'm saying? Like I changed my life. So those things changed as well. But the bar is weird. It's now up here, and I'm like, well, who's gonna meet this position?
There's a lot of people up there, Janessa. I get you just gotta be comfortable with where you are, huh?
They just might not be in Brooklyn, but they there. No, just kidding.
Right.
No, but here's the thing about standards. I think when I was younger and I wasn't doing all this work on myself, that I was looking for somebody to meet these needs within me. And so now that has changed. I'm not looking for people to meet needs within me. I'm looking for somebody I can create a love story with that's beautiful and one that helps me thrive. So it's not like they have to make this much money. They got to be here. It's not about those things. It's about like, when we have an argument, can we come back to the solution? Do I feel safe around them, to be vulnerable? Do we are we able to intentionally connect, that kind of stuff. It's not really so much about, and I know what you're saying, you're like, they got baggy pants and whatever. That's more of the outside reflection of, yeah, I want maturity, and whatever you feel that, that's not maturity. But if he met all these other things and he had some saggy pants and Timbs, I'm sure none of that would matter. It wouldn't matter.
You're
Yeah.
right.
And you know what? It's good where you're at right now, because you're looking at it in a way that's like, that's bad, but I see it as growth. The fact that you're looking at this and you're feeling like, you know what, I've got some standards, and I want something different. It means that you're changing. So this lull is not really failure, it's change. So now maybe who would have been, interesting to you is no longer interesting to you. So you might have to move outside of, not your environment, but there's just something different that you're looking for, and they're not where you're at right now. So you got to keep, you just keep working on the inside so you attract it.
So what you're saying makes me feel so much better, because tell you, I'm like, I don't want to get emotional because my makeup looks great, but but yo, let me tell you, oh my God, I am so like in a space where that's exactly how I feel, Sherelle. It's like, nah, I don't want any of this. None of this is it for me anymore. And I don't see anybody who matches the type of what I'm looking for. And I am looking for somebody I can build with and be all those. I want to be free with somebody, but I'm like, where? I do not see it at all. So it's just like, no. But it makes me
What? Because it's true. So it's really contrast. You're just experiencing a lot of contrast right now. You're really clear, like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want that. So it's providing you with a lot of clarity. So, instead of feeling like, it ain't gonna happen for you, it's like, I'm getting really clear about what I don't want. What you have to switch it to now is, when you get clear about what you don't want, you have to kind of phrase it to what it is that you do want. So when you say, I see that guy and he's got the Timbs and he's like, yo, ma, like, what does that mean? So you don't want that. What do you want instead?
Oh, you want me to answer?
I do.
I want somebody who's sophisticated. I want somebody who's emotionally intelligent, who dresses their age. Sorry, I do. I have to struggle with myself sometimes. Like, excuse me, miss, what are you wearing? Like, okay, belly shirt, relax. But no, I want somebody who's mature, and I want somebody who's into doing things like me. Like, I want somebody who's gonna be like, what? You want to go like do a clothing drive for a state that got hit by a hurricane? Awesome. Here's first class tickets, and I'm gonna run a pickup truck and pick up all the things and meet you there. I want somebody who cares about what I care about. I want somebody I could build with, but I also want him to look really good.
I've seen good-looking guys in New York in the nonprofit area. All the ones I know I dated, but I'm sure there's other ones.
That was so funny. That was just all the ones I know I dated, but
well, I don't think relationships are any different than anything else that we're trying to manifest in our life. I mean, when I left my last relationship, I couldn't wait to be by myself. But during that time, I knew I wasn't ready for a relationship, but I still was preparing. I was preparing for the type of relationship that I wanted, because I knew it wasn't going to happen right away, and I wasn't looking for it, and I wasn't open to it, but I still was getting clear about it. So I think it's important that you're just getting clear about it. Like, what does that look like? And the more I wrote it down, I realized it wasn't just in my love story. I wanted it in all my relationships. I wanted respect and honor and support and that we're dreaming and with each other. So it's not just with one relationship. I wanted collaboration. So
yeah, I feel like I have a trick for meeting someone without having to do anything. So I noticed it's the same thing with acting. Like
Okay.
when I'm doing I'll give you the acting audition, the acting version. But let's say I haven't worked. There's nothing good coming in. And I'm like, you know what? Let me do something else for a minute. Let me go on this trip. Let me just give my attention to something else that excites me that has nothing to do with work. And then what happens? One time I was literally at the airport going to a festival and I got a job and didn't like. Why? Why did that happen? Because I wasn't giving it any attention. So I feel like, so with dating, if you really, not just, oh, but my life is good, but if you really just kind of like push the needle towards doing more of what you really want that you haven't already done, like really just, you know what I'm saying? And then you're so busy having all of this fun, and then all these nice people just come out of nowhere. But you just gotta like it's not just, oh yeah, I'm taking care of my responsibilities, I'm doing self-care, blah, blah. It's, you know, I'm doing a little extra for me, a little more adventure, a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, and I guess I'm sure there's a scientific reason for this. But I'm telling you,
neuroplasticity.
I know they're making fun of me. It's true though. That's because you're happy. When we're on highest vibrations and we're doing things we love, it's easier to attract the things that we've already put out in the universe. But yeah, no, I'm scared to death, y'all. I'm scared to death right now. And I'm glad that Sherelle helped me look at it in the sense like, oh no, you're just, you know, you're getting ready for what you want, and makes sense.
Gathering feedback. That's it. You're gathering feedback right now.
That's cool. Now I'm gonna switch the gears on that. But you know, I was thinking the other day, I was like, because I'd be bored, you know, like I mean, I do my thing and I'm fine and I'm safe, right? That's most important. But like, no, you need a shorty, like you're bored. You need a little smarty, you know, a little somebody. And I was like, should I do a dating like app? You know what I mean? Like, should I get on? And then I was like, the other voice was like, hell no.
Not just, it's 2022. So you have to think like, in what areas do I have control over in my life right now that I could really upgrade myself to being the Janessa that I want to be? And once you do that, then that becomes easier than trying to decide, do I want to go on a dating app or no? It's like, okay, what is Janessa really like? You know, because okay, obviously to us, you're doing all these wonderful, amazing things. It's so fantastic, but you know where you can level up and allow the, you know, the next level excitement, joys, and opportunities come in. Whether it's like going somewhere different, starting a different kind of project, things that's going to be exciting and not just like work, but more like, ooh, you know, that kind of feeling.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. But still, no boyfriends.
When you switch from making shit happen to attracting it, it feels different. Because when you trying to make shit happen, you got to do a lot of action. You got to, you know, you're manipulating the, you know, the energy outside of self to bring you what you want. But when you're changing your vibration and you're becoming an attraction, then it's not all this outside work that you have to do. Yeah, you could go on Bumble or not. Because you're going to attract whoever you're supposed to attract right at this time. So if you're in this stage of like, everybody, you know, I don't like this one and I don't like that one, it'd probably be hard for you to be on Bumble.
Janessa, if you're gonna go on Bumble, at first you need to book a trip, and then go on Bumble, and then you're
right.
not like, let me go on Bumble because I got nothing to do and I'm not feeling that great. Don't do that.
I could never, God bless me, but I'm not that kind of chick. I'm old school in the sense of we gotta meet, I gotta see you, feel you type vibes before I ain't with the just bumble me, swipe me.
Mumble me. But here's the thing too, is that you gotta kind of think about your beliefs, what you're going to dating, right? So like I had a friend of mine, she was like, before I met Don, she was like, are you gonna go on Bumble? And I was like, no. And she said, well, why not? I said, because I don't need to go on Bumble. Like, because I knew, no, I don't, and then I didn't mean it like an ego. No, because I was working on me. I was working on me, and I was working on attracting whoever I was supposed to attract, right? Based on the work that I was doing. But that was my thing. It doesn't mean that Bumble doesn't work. That was my thing for me. So it doesn't matter if you go on Bumble or you go outside or you go somewhere else. Whatever your vibration is, that's what you're bringing in. So let it be feedback for you. and let it be information for you. And if somebody shows up and they're not the person that you want them to be, you got to take the positive aspects and then keep going.
So all that keeps showing up is weird DMs. Nobody else. Where am I? Like, people are intimidated by me. I'm that type of girl that people are like, dudes are scared to talk to. And then the ones who aren't say the most outrageous shit that are just immediately like cancel them out. You know what I'm
But
saying?
if I was your coach, I would tell you, are you going to find your greatest love story with those beliefs?
But these are not necessary beliefs. These are just the fucking facts.
No, that's your perception of the facts, right? So that's your perception. So if you feel like there may be the guys that you might be connecting with may be, but you're an energetic match to that. And you've got to figure out why you're an energetic match to somebody who you feel would be intimidated by you.
I have an example of this.
Okay.
I had a time where I was like really depressed. I was just stressed out. I was trying to not have to deal with the reality of my life. It was like in my mid 20s or something. And I decided I was going to go on a lot of dates through a dating app. Because of how I was feeling and what I was believing for my life, that's what I kept getting. You know, there was nothing, it was just like a little distraction, little distraction. You know, I'm just like, instead of, no, actually, you know what? This is what I want. I know it exists. I've seen other examples. I've seen other people with that. I'm going to have that. Watch me, you know, like, let me let go, let me focus. And then the quality of the people. And then I stopped doing that altogether, the dating just to kill time. And then I went back to like just having like, you know, not putting so much weight and pressure in the relationship area of my life to deliver. And then like stuff started happening for me at like more of my taste level, you know.
I'm in a weird space right now. I know, because I can sense, like, y'all know my personality is very outgoing. And I noticed that whenever it comes down to discussing dating and really like me doing the introspective work, there's fear coming up in me. And I know that. So it's just like, I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if I even want to know. You know what I mean? Like, a part of me is like, ignore that. Pay no mind to that pink elephant.
You know, everybody really, really wants a relationship where they have a deep connection. I don't know anybody that's like, yeah, nah, I don't want no deep connection. Everybody doesn't want it. We just don't know, you know, you don't know how to get it. So I think it's just really important to just not feel bad about what your state of circumstances is. It's kind of like remember I was talking about with money. Like, if you want to make more money, looking at your bank account and being upset about not being able to pay the bills and, you know, talking about all that stuff doesn't bring more money. It just brings more lack, right? Talking about what you want instead and your and ideas and things that you can do to create more money is different than. So right now you're feeling like, you know, maybe it's true. Maybe you are matching up with guys who feel intimidated. I don't know if it's, and it may not be intimidation. It may be they're just not an energetic match to you. Maybe you have more of you're just more outspoken maybe than they're used to. They probably want somebody who's more submissive and you're not. You know, I don't know. It could be a multitude of things. I'm just saying, don't put it in one box, because you have to find beliefs that empower you, not disempower you. So if you feel like, you know, they're intimidated by me, that disempowers you, and you're never going to connect with who, you know, you need to connect with.
I think what I'm going through is personal. I think it's more of I do refuse to settle for something that's less than what I think I deserve. And I think there's a subconscious fear there that I'm not worthy of that, because most of my connections were toxic and they were based off of fear. We operated in fear and trauma. And we connected off of trauma, most of my relationships. So now, because I'm doing more healing and growing and learning myself more, I'm more fearful if a man is going to be able to, I guess, if I'm worthy of that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm still on the.
But here's the thing: you shouldn't, just because you had a certain type of history of relationships doesn't mean that what you can offer somebody isn't tremendously valuable and impactful for his life. So it's the kind of thing where, okay, you guys didn't have the same kind of dating experience, or you did, but it doesn't take away from what you bring as the whole person that you are. Okay, you might be, fantastic because A, B, C, and D, and your lives, really, you really complement each other, and it has nothing to do with who you dated, what your dating history has been like, or what his has been like.
I think I fear that. I have a subconscious fear about my past being some sort of a turnoff to the type of man I want to attract to my life.
Because that's not the type of man you want to attract then. One's gonna be, whoa, you live like you? What? You don't, that's not what you want. You don't want that judgmental asshole. You don't want to judge where you're going or where you already came from. He's going to be like, wow, I love everything that you've shared. Wow, I love everything that you live. You are so amazing. I'm just so inspired by you. Oh my God, tell me more.
So here's the thing. So we can overdiagnose and overanalyze ourselves to death. Sweetie, you are where you're supposed to be. You've done a lot of work. Look, we just talk about all the shit we wish we knew when we were younger. You know all this shit now, right? Now it's about like just putting it into practice. It's about like not making it be just not, information, but it's knowledge, and then it becomes wisdom, right? So right now it's just information, right? So now it's about application. So the only way you're going to apply it is by, engaging with people. Trying to find that one person is probably going to be hard, to just be that one person. But it's right now, it's like you're gaining feedback. You're getting like what it is that you like, so that you're clear, so that when that person shows up, pretty much, they may have 60 or 70% of those things. Can you grow together? Can you, manifest whatever you want together? They don't have to come to you perfect, and you're not going to come to them, healed and not dealing with whatever. You're still going to have your stuff, but high level, can are they working on themselves? Are they growing? Can they listen to you when you're saying, I'm having a hard day and this is hard for me? Like, can they give you your time, or can they say, what can I do to, to help you or whatever? When you think about that, you go like, well, what kind of qualities would a guy have? What would they exemplify when I'm out with them? So those are the things. Concentrate on what you want, not on what's happened and how, you think you're different. You're perfect. You're perfect. You're perfect right where you are. Just perfect. Don't analyze yourself anymore. Like, you're just fine. You're just growing. You're becoming this beautiful flower, right? And you're blossoming, and you're going to match up with the right person. You just got to keep watering your flower. That's it. And then, you know what, right? We go like, I can't wait to be in this relationship. And then we get in a relationship, and, and that's, it's just it's tough too, because you got to learn how to navigate. You got two different people coming together, trying to figure out, how to maximize your love story. And it's still, it still takes work. Not hard work, but, if you concentrate on fun and freedom and creativity and, collaboration and compassion and, those kind of things. So you're fine. You're right where, you probably just have a desire. It's kind of like, when somebody feels like they want more financial abundance and it's not here yet, right? They haven't manifested it yet, but they're going like, where is it? Where is it? I don't think I'm ever going to get it because, I just haven't, had this great relationship with money. Like, all that takes your energy away from what it is that you're trying to manifest. So, you have to get back in the mirror and just say that I'm fantastic and I'm fine and I'm blossoming. I'm beautiful, and I'm going to attract the person who's supposed to be with me. But for now, I'm just going to fill my own cup, and I'm just going to, and it's going to be when you least expect it. We need to start to wrap this segment up, right? Because, the whole idea about what we wish we knew about relationships is that now we're armed with new information, and now we can stand in our power in relationships. But, if what we wish we knew, we have that information and we don't still feel powerful, there's something that needs to shift in us. There's some work that, there's some inner work. This work doesn't ever end. It's not like you get a certificate and like, okay, you've mastered yourself and that's it. because we keep growing, we keep changing, there's more things that we want to do, and you know, you want to keep flexing, so you got to keep working at this. The idea is to not um you know, feel limited for too long. It's okay to feel it sometimes, but to not stay in limitation for too long, and not to stay in powerlessness for too long. You know, just like you were saying right now, like there's so much that, you know, that we all know a lot more than our, you know, our parents did. Like, we're armed with so much information. There's no reason why we shouldn't have great relationships. And relationships don't have to be hard and a struggle, and they really can be easy, and they can be fun, and they can be beautiful. We just, you know, we just have to figure out what we're depositing into this relationship.
I'm sure for some viewer at home who got all three of these problems or more combined, they will find so many useful tips.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, I don't know, and this is probably just, I think, how I feel like I've turned my emotional life around, is to, whenever I'm feeling powerless, or I'm feeling down about something, where I feel like a situation needs to change, a person needs to change, that I've got to turn that around and look at me and figure out what it is. Because sometimes you realize that it's something small that you didn't even think about. It's something like, you know, that happened with your mom, you know, because those are the relationships that teach us who we are. That's, you know, that's where we get our desires, and that's where we get our limitations from, is those relationships that we grew up with, and we're still holding on, not necessarily to the trauma, but the habits that came from the trauma. So when somebody does something to you, it's like, you know, oh, that makes me feel like when my mom, you know, didn't listen to me, and it sets me off. Okay, so what am I doing about that shit? I can't let that continue, because it's causing disconnection. So I've got to figure out, you know, a way to communicate, to say, hey, this bothers me. But I do have to work on that, so that I'm not getting triggered by everything. So I don't know. I think relationships can be happy. That's the reason why, you know, I wanted us to do this podcast, is so that we can remove obstacles for people, and to let them know that there's a way to get to what you want, and it doesn't have to be this real struggly way, and it depends on where you are on your journey. So
I just want to be loved. I just want to be loved.
Well, so I love that. And so who needs to love you?
I love me already.
Right. So when you're loving you like crazy, and somebody takes that love away, it doesn't feel so devastating, because you're already loving. That love is extra. It's not what's fulfilling you. It's not what fills you up. Your cup is already filled. So, you know, that's the important part. Just let all this, just like, be like the best student ever. That's it. Any parting words? Because I hope we've given them some positivity in this relation. I mean, in this podcast.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think looking back at your previous relationships, it's so powerful to focus on what you've taken away from them. What you've learned, instead of focusing on the individual actions, the things that didn't go well. Getting curious about how you've evolved, and how your needs have, and who you are, and what you want, and using that to really propel you towards what you really want next.
I ain't got nothing to say. Sorry, I love you guys all. Love yourself, right? I don't know what to say, because right now I'm on pop star mode.
Well, I think, you know, relationships teach us so much about ourselves, and, you know, it's not really about the other person. You know, we're here to come together to share love, and not to, you know, necessarily just receive love. And we just have to figure out, you know, how we can get through emotional obstacles. I think that's the hardest part. I think when we're in a relationship, and, you know, it's not hard to find chemistry with people. It's hard to figure out, when you have problems, how to get through them. What's the best way? And the way looks different for every relationship, because there's two different people with two different desires and different needs and different, you know, so you just got to figure out what it is for you. So now that you have that information, you just need to empower yourself. But there's one thing to have information, There's another way, to have knowledge where you apply it. And then there's another way to just have wisdom where you take the lesson from those past experiences and you figure out what you want to do differently so that you're not blocking connection. Hey. All right, we're out.
My joyful friends, that's our show. Thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and leave a review. Share this episode with someone you think would get some value out of it. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.